responsible for the Toefl speaking class here at Classic English. During our time living abroad and studying abroad, I received a lot of training as a public speaker and a debater, and so I have a lot of experience speaking in public and making speeches, and I would like to pass some of these skills on to you in terms of the speaking practice and speaking section for TOEFL. Let me spend the next few minutes to tell you about what happens in the intensive speaking class here and what you could expect to come away with. Speaking English is a major obstacle for a lot of students in Taiwan, regardless of whether you are thinking about taking a test like TOEFL or you just want to have a normal conversation, a normal day-to-day conversation. And in this class, I will give you a lot of opportunities to open your mouth and for you to practice speaking. So the first thing you need to keep in mind here is that this is a very interactive class and that you'll get a lot of chances to speak to your fellow students and for me to listen and give you feedback. As for the classes themselves, in the first week, I will take you through the basic structure of the TOEFL speaking section. For example, I'll tell you about what type of questions could come, what they look for when they score you, and what things you need to pay attention to. Then we'll actually look at the first 2 questions of the section. The speaking section is made out of 4 questions only, and so you need to keep that in mind because the speaking section compared to all the other sections is incredibly time sensitive. So there's a lot of stress when it comes to time pressure, and you need to understand, you need to know exactly what you need to do when you get into each of these questions. So in the first week, we will talk about question 1, which is a personal opinion-based question. So I will tell you what you need to do in terms of answering the structure and what you are expected to do. Then we'll move on to question 2 in the same class in the first week, which is still an opinion-based question, but it is based on someone else's opinion. So you will read a short text, and then you will listen to a conversation between 2 people, and your answer will be a synthesis, a construction of the 2 materials put together. Then in week 2, we'll move on to the more academic type question. Question 3. This you can think of like a teacher giving you a short text to preview and prepare before class, and then you'll listen to him or her speak during class about that text. And so we'll talk about how the question is structured and again how you are expected to answer question 3. And we will spend a little bit more time on question 1 still, because as I said just now, it is an opinion-based question and a lot of students are not used to voicing their opinion, especially in English, so there will be more practice during week 2. In the third week, we will then move on to the final question, question 4, which is still academic-based, but it is purely a lecture type question. So in this case, you'll just hear a longer sound file about the professor talking about things. So in some way, it is a little bit similar to question 3, but I will we'll talk about the differences between these 2 questions. And again, we'll do a lot of practice about this question 4 because a lot of people feel like it is the most difficult of the 4. And so there will be more time dedicated to practicing the listening of the section and also then producing an answer for this question. And in the final week, we will do a summary. So first we'll do a summary of what happened in the first 3 weeks to remind you what happened, what all 4 question types are. And then we'll spend a little bit of time looking at idioms because again, you might hear idioms much like the listening section and do a little bit of practice there. And finally, in the last 80 to 90 minutes, we will do at least 2 full runs of all 4 questions. So what I mean is that we will do question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4 all together at once. We will talk a little bit, we'll discuss a little bit about each question, but we will do at least 2 full cycles of that. So you can have an understanding, have a feeling of what could happen when you head into the speaking section, when you have to do all 4 questions together. As I said previously, during all 4 weeks, during all 4 classes, there will be a lot of time for you to practice, to talk to other students in order to get used to the question types that you'll see in TOEFL. And also I will always be around listening to you, listening to everybody, providing feedback on, for example, if your grammar is wrong or your tenses is wrong, or maybe you need to use a different word, a different better word. And so all these things will happen during class, which will help correct how you sound or what kind of things you want to say in order to make you feel more confident. So if you practice enough and keep in mind all the things that we talk about during these classes, you're remembering what kind of questions they are and how you answer these questions, you should be able to obtain a score of at least 20 or higher. There have been students who got 25 and higher, but again, that means they put in a lot of practice or they are used to speaking. So these are little things that you can keep in mind. I hope to see you at one of the intensive speaking classes soon.